Hey, it's day 4 of the readathon. I realized I didn't update earlier today, but there really wasn't a whole lot to say because it's been a pretty low-key day. But I did manage to finish a book, See You in the Cosmos. It was really good. I highly recommend it. Admittedly, I think that it's aimed at middle schoolers, and I only say that because our main character is a 11-year-old. But this definitely feels like a book that anyone could read and enjoy, and I definitely did. I'm debating if I want to give it 3 or 4 stars. It's this great adventure, and it has a lot of heart, and there's some really fun, great, well-rounded, flawed characters in here, and it was just really enjoyable and inspiring at the same time. And overall, I read 246 pages today, which is pretty good. That's right on par for how many pages I've been reading per day during this readathon, which is just amazing to me. And I hope I can keep this momentum going because I'm going to need to keep up this pace in order to complete my TBR and my overall goal for the readathon. So right now I finished 3 books out of my 7 books on my TBR. So not quite halfway there. And it is day 4. But if you count up the pages of the other books that I have started but have not completed yet, that would definitely total another book. So on some level, it's as if at this point I've read 4 books. So on some level, I'm right on track. So that's exciting. So that means I just need to keep up my momentum and I'll be able to actually complete 7 books in 7 days, which to me is just like mind blown, amazing. So tomorrow my plan is to keep chugging along in these 3. These are the 3 books that I also read part of today. I've been enjoying them. They're not exactly books that I want to power through super quickly. Other than this one is definitely an easier read than the other 2 in a lot of ways, so this one should be pretty easy to get through, and probably the next one I finish, we'll see. The other 2 are nonfiction, so just inherently they're a little different and you just read them differently. And then to top it off and make it even more difficult, Switching Time is a narrative nonfiction, so on some level it's easier, but this story that's being told is really difficult to read just because this woman has gone through so many horrible things in her life, just in general, and it, continues to be abused by her family and her husband and things like that. It's just not a great situation. I wouldn't recommend this book for you if reading about sexual assault and abuse and physical abuse and emotional abuse is difficult on you. Or also depression or suicidal thoughts or actions, things like that. If those things are triggering for you or hit home for you, obviously I wouldn't want to cause any extra burden on yourself. If those are things that you have a hard time reading about, obviously do not read this book. Like, even as someone who doesn't feel triggered by those things particularly, it's still just difficult to read as a human being hearing about these horrible things happening to someone else. It's just difficult to think that this actually happened and that someone was actually this cruel to someone else on a regular basis. Most of it is stuff that her dad did to her and her grandfather. And to me, I just don't understand that at all. It's just horrible, doesn't even do it justice, honestly. So that's been difficult to read on that level, but it is interesting, but it's difficult to get through. So we'll see what happens with those books. And the last book of my TBR is Eliza and Her Monsters, and I do hope to finish this last because I want to end this readathon on a high note, and for all the reasons I've just mentioned, the other books, I don't really want to end on them. Like, they're kind of like mediocre notes. And I want Eliza to be my end note because I'm really, really excited about this book. Because I want to save the best for last, I'm probably going to wait until the last day or 2 to continue reading this book. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I am happily surprised by where I am just as far as my goals, and I think I'll actually be able to do this. So wish me luck, and I will keep you updated. Hey, it is day 5 of the readathon. It's midnight right now, and honestly, I don't have a whole lot to report to you again. I'm starting to realize that I'm putting myself in a reading slump, I think, by reading so much and having this pressure. In some sense, I'll be happy that when this readathon is over, because while I like having the pressure, I think that having it so many days in a row and having such a big TBR that I did to myself, it just isn't a great combination. It could also be the books I chose too, because like I mentioned before, they're not exactly, other than Eliza, like they're not exactly books I'm like really itching to pick up, and that's kind of disappointing. We'll see what happens. So overall, today I read 138 pages, which, nothing to scoff at, but compared to just my readathon totals, it's pretty much tied with my lowest day. I'm hoping they'll be more invigorated tomorrow, but at the same time, I'll have a fairly busy day tomorrow. I have class and then I start my part-time job, which I'm really excited about, but I don't know what to expect from that. I don't know when I'll get back home from that. So I read a little bit in Switching Time. So now we're getting into the part where we're talking about her multiple personalities, or alters as they're called. And there's 17 different ones, and they're kind of like slowly revealed. It's really interesting to see how they're all so different from each other and how they came about and like what their purpose is. There's less focus on the horrible trauma this like section of the book. The next section of the book is all about like integrating the personalities, which I'm super excited about to see like how he goes about that. And I've already seen kind of like hints of that already. That's been good. And then I read a little bit of The Lord of Opium today. It's exploring some interesting issues, but I don't care as much as I did with the first one. So it's been okay. It'll probably get a 3-star from me, to be honest. Wish me luck, and I will keep you updated. Hello, it is day 6 of the biannual Bibliothon. I cannot believe how fast this readathon is going. It is 3:30 right now, and as of right now, I don't have any plans, but I do know that sometimes things change last minute, so who knows. But I will try to get as much reading as I can done now, because if something does change, it's going to be like for the later half of the day. So if I get lots of reading done now, I won't have to feel so guilty about like leaving if that does happen. I really don't know. And then tomorrow I have my internship from 9 to 5, and that is it. And hopefully I can somehow manage to finish this TBR. I'm about halfway through 3 of the books, so there is hope, but it's gonna take a lot of effort on my part. Wish me luck, and I will keep you updated. Hey, one more update for the day, and I do realize that tomorrow is the last day of the readathon, which I cannot believe. And I will get to my goals for that in a minute, but let me tell you how I did today. So, I finally finished Switching Time. It was fantastic. You should read it, especially if you're interested in multiple personality disorder. I think he does a great job of explaining not only what it was like for Karen, but also like the reasoning why someone would develop this disorder, if that makes sense, like the purpose behind it. Because there is a purpose, like it does have a reason for happening, and I think it's very fascinating and really interesting to read about, and I'll probably do a whole separate video on it at some point. And it leaves you on a hopeful note. I do realize like I talked a lot about the horribleness from the beginning, like, just reading about her traumatic experiences is really hard, just in general, so I was happy that like as it went on, you started to see more and more hope throughout the book. I just thought it ended really well, and it leaves you on a good note instead of dwelling on all the horrors of the things that have happened to her. That was 192 pages, so not bad, but not great. So sadly, didn't read a whole lot today, which I'm not doing myself any favors as far as like finishing my TBR in time. So tomorrow, let's look in the future. So I have 3 books left, and I totaled up how many pages I've left in each of them, and altogether, in order to finish my TBR, I would have to read 722 pages. I did the math on that, and if I read about a page a minute, that would take me just over 12 hours to finish. And, if I had a completely free open Friday, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Like, I could do it. It would still be kind of rough, but I could do it. But the odds are not really in my favor here, sadly. It doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. And that's okay, because I know I'm going to finish them in January. It just won't be during the official readathon. That's my tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I will keep you updated, and please wish me luck. Hey, it is the last day of the readathon, and I'm hoping to make a valiant effort because I lucked out and I actually got to leave my internship early. So it's almost 4 o'clock right now, and I have been reading for the last hour or two. So I have read about 100 pages of this. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'm starting to get there. I think on Goodreads I'm like 70% of the way through the book, so we'll see how that goes. And then I've read about a chapter or two of this one. The chapters are fairly short because it is a short book. I still have 4 more chapters left of this book to read. That's how my day is turning out. Like I said, it's 4 o'clock, so I still have quite a bit of time to read, but you know, between eating and just like taking breaks and everything, I don't know if I'll be able to actually complete my TBR, but I should be able to actually make a valiant effort. But I will update you as soon as I finish one of my books. Hey, it is 8:30 and I have finally finished The Lord of Opium. And even though I was having some mixed feelings about it when I started to read it, everything seemed to fall into place for me and I started to enjoy it for what it was. I think a lot of my disappointment was like my expectation going into it, being a sequel and all that, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. And once I realized that, like, okay, this is where the story's going, I was able to enjoy it. It's just different, but I did really enjoy the messages of the story and the overall journey, and it was good overall. I still have to sort out my feelings for that, but I'm gonna just stay home and read for the rest of the night. I think I will take a break though before I jump back in, because I need to like refresh from finishing a book. Like, do you ever get that? Like, after you finish a book, you know, especially when you invested so much time, you just kind of like need some time to recuperate. That's what I'm feeling right now. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm going to try to split my time between Eliza and her monsters and Bored and Brilliant. So Bored and Brilliant's pretty short, so I am hoping I can finish this tonight as well. So with that, I will leave you probably until my last update, where I kind of recap everything that I have read so far during this readathon. So I will keep you updated. Hey guys, this is my final update for my readathon vlog. I can't believe how fast this week has gone, but I will say that I think the readathon was a success for me because I read a lot. So today I read 315 pages in total, which to me is pretty great. And then just like in total for the entire readathon, if I did my math right, I read 1,675 pages, which to me is a huge accomplishment. And I read 5 books in total. And admittedly, I started the other 2. One, I was like 70% of the way through it, but the other one, I was only like 30% of the way through it. So if you add those 2 together, it's almost as if I read another book. But sadly, I don't think that's how it works. So I've only finished 5 books, but I shouldn't say only. Like 5 books in 7 days is really good. I kept up my goal to read every single day, and I read over 100 pages every single day, which is really cool to me. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about each book other than what I've already said about them. I'll have to do that in my wrap-up. I'm probably just going to do one wrap-up for all the books that I read in the month of January, which is gonna be a lot because in total I've read like 8 or 9 books already. It's quite a bit, so I'm really proud of myself. Like I said, this is definitely gonna be the most I've ever read in a single month, and I'm just so excited to talk to you guys about them all because I really enjoyed them all. I mean, nothing was a 5-star read so far, but everything was like a 3 or 4-star. Like, I didn't hate anything that I read. I was able to at least do the reading challenges. Admittedly, I didn't technically complete all the reading challenges because I wasn't able to get a copy of Other Worlds. That was like out of the door immediately, unfortunately, but I think that other than that, I probably have completed all the challenges. I'd have to look back to see what the challenges were because I know that I had a lot of different books that fit multiple different categories. And I think of the 2 left, Like, I think that both of those challenges were covered by other books. So I honestly do think that, like, of the challenges I was able to do, other than Otherworld, I think I completed them. So in that sense, even, like, it's been a huge success for me. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. And I have my handy dandy wand with me, of course. So I just want to, as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And until next time.